Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today, I would like to cover the Unofficial Marvel Comics Hostess Ads Collection, published by Trident Studios. I found out about this amazing little digest-sized volume from my friend Jan, found it on eBay, and immediately purchased it. And I received it a week and a half ago, and I've been waiting to get it on the show, and now here's my chance. Please pardon me, the quality of my voice may be a bit impaired by recent illness, but I am recovering, and I felt good enough today to take this one on. I thought it would be fun. So let's get into it. These were things as a kid that I loved in comics, these ads, and they were published in Marvel Comics in the late 70s and early 80s. I'll just read the back matter on the back cover. Collecting over 80 Hostess snack ads from the 70s and 80s, featuring Marvel Comics' greatest heroes. These never-before collected adventures feature Spider-Man, the Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Daredevil, Captain Marvel, and the Fantastic Four, dealing out justice and sharing the delicious Hostess snacks. So we've got some nice clips on the back. This is a very well-made volume. It very is much like the sort of digest-sized comics that DC Comics produced in the late 70s and early 80s. And I think maybe one of the reasons Trident Studios used this format was maybe to help avoid any potential legal entanglements. I'm not sure, since it is an unauthorized edition. I am going to include a link to their eBay store. They have a DC version as well with their Hostess ads, and I purchased that as well. And if you like this kind of thing, I encourage you to support them because this is a totally awesome endeavor. One thing I will do is flip to the back first here. They have an index which lists sort of in chronological order the appearance of all the ads. So pretty great. You can go by the title and figure out what comic that the ad appeared in, what issue number. So really nice little addition there. What I've done is, you can see my Post-it notes I've cut up here. I'm not going to go through all these ads in detail, but there are a few I wanted to linger on, so I've marked the ones that I want to talk about. One of the things that we're going to go over in this too is there's never any credits for these, so it's hard sometimes to pick out like who drew them, who wrote them. It's going to be even harder. But in some cases, there are marks in certain figure work things that you might attribute to a certain artist's style. For instance, this square jaw here, this looks like almost like a Carmine Infantino face here. So I'm not sure who, and I did a little poking around online. I couldn't find any concrete info. If you do have info, a full credits list of who wrote and drew these, boy, I'd love to see it. So put it in the comments, please. But we can see they're all faithfully reproduced here. Some of them I remember so vividly, and then some of them, like this Captain Marvel in He's All Mouth. I had no memory. Maybe I blacked this out as a kid. I don't know, because it was just so weird. The carnival was a bustling happy place just a few months ago. Suddenly, things went sour. I suspect more than just fickle fate. You took the words right out of my mouth, Captain Marvel. But if you don't bug off, I'll shove them right down your throat. You don't scare me. You're all mouth. You fool. Chase me up the abandoned roller coaster and I'll bite it out from under you. So it just gets, and he does just that. It's very strange. Interesting thing too, like Captain Marvel was chosen for these ads, maybe because he was such a visually stunning character. I mean, he had his own book at this time, but it's not like he was an A-list Marvel character. I love all the Starlin Captain Marvel stuff, and of course, I've covered Death of Captain Marvel on this. I think it's one of the best videos I've ever done. But yeah, I just thought it was strange that Captain Marvel appeared in so many of these ads. Just really great stuff. Nick Fury shows up a lot too, usually with Cap. My favorite ads of all of these ads are the Hulk ads, and there's a couple and I've talked about them before on the show as I've run into them in books I've read, but I'm going to go over them again just because I love them so much. But there's a lot of good Hulk ads. Here's, of course, this one is fun too. It's another Captain Marvel one, but these often have a weird, lighthearted end. And that's kind of hard to do with a murderous psychopath like Nitro, who ultimately was responsible for Captain Marvel's death, although it was prior to the publication of this ad. But we can see him here trying to enact some sinister scheme, and then he's undone by Hostess pies, as generally is the case in all of these ads. Later, inside the mountain. We've got enough Hostess Twinkies to last a month. Wow, golden sponge cake with creamy filling inside? That will keep Nitro busy for a while. I knew he'd get a big bang out of Hostess Twinkies. Now to blast his headquarters. Chomp chomp. You get a big delight in every bite of Hostess Twinkies. It's amazing. Okay, so here's my first favorite of the selection in this book. Incredible Hulk and the Twins of Evil. So, in a mind-boggling attempt to destroy the Green Goliath, the Abomination and Wendigo join forces. Alone, I can fight you to a standstill. Together, we can render you helpless. Hulk only wants to fight fair. The deadly duo leaves the Hulk defeated. But suddenly, keep away, Hulk no like people. It's the Hulk. It's okay, Hulk. We'll help you. You've got to have something to eat, Hulk. Here, have a Hostess fruit pie. Hostess fruit pie? You'll like the real fruit filling. And how about that light, flaky crust? Hulk happy now. Hulk thanks, boys. The green gargantua crashes off into the forest. I'm glad we had the Hostess fruit pies to share with the Hulk. He ate them all. Apple, lemon, and cherry. In a strange way, I think we know. I think he knows we're his friends. Now Hulk takes care of unfinished business. You get a big delight in every bite of Hostess fruit pies. So just lingering on this a second longer and looking at the artwork here, this is definitely not Trimpy. I think we're going to come across some Trimpy Hulk art later. This could be Sal, but I'm not sure. It could also be Rich Buckler. He may have done some of these ads as well. I'm sure it was easy money for these artists to just knock out one of these ads, probably working from a script. But I'm going to say this might be a Rich Buckler ad. Let's move on here. We have the Spider-Man. There's plenty of Spider-Man in here as well, and there's some good ones of that. There's a cool one we'll happen upon here. This one's great, too. I'm not going to linger too much on it, but Hulk versus the Roller Disco Devils. He literally rolls the street up with these poor guys. And if you've ever visited the Sean Baby website, it's pretty hilarious takedown of these ads. An analysis of these ads is on there. It's pretty cool. It also makes fun of the Super Friends and other super type stuff from the 70s and 80s. But yeah, pretty great. More Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel ads always seem strange. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, another Iron Man. Here's a great Cap ad with Cap using a super soldier enhanced strength to deform steel, batter through that steel door. Pretty great. Again, looking at this figure work, it's hard to tell who did it. It's definitely like a solid Marvel House style, but it's difficult to say. Oh, this one always freaked me out as a kid. This woman's hair was just, I don't know why, it just freaked me out. And the giant blow dryer. Another thing I wanted to mention too about these ads, a lot of times I don't know if they were reluctant to use more than a few named characters from Marvel. So they would just create their own characters for the ads. So there's a lot of like unique supervillains who never really show up anywhere else, or super threats who never show up anywhere else. Like these two aliens. These weird rhino robots in this Iron Man ad. This human computer guy. Although he reminds me of Fabian, the Meccano Marauder from issues of the Avengers that would come out in the 80s, the early 80s. I distinctly remember this one from a kid because it reminded me of a non sequitur, I know, but it reminded me of Land of the Lost. Just them being on the river and the rapids. A lot of Human Torch. Such weird names, too, like the Hulk versus the Fumi Goonies. This is some, like, quasi-terrorist, paramilitary group. We are the Fumi Goonies. You're all now our hostages of the revolutionary government. But, of course, Bruce Banner, who's there, transforms into the Hulk and puts paid to these guys. Later, after the police have put the Fumi Goonies behind bars, I guess they get Hostess pies in prison, and they'll probably never want to leave because of that. Yeah, there's some Solo Thing one, Spider-Man. Another weird Captain Marvel ad with this giant flea, which actually I think is a tick. This one, The Longest Fight, is a really funny. I recommend looking at it on Sean Baby's site. It's pretty funny, the analysis of this one. Here's another one I marked just because I thought the villain was kind of cool and it would have been neat if he showed up again in Marvel Comics. Hotshot. Oops, that was too close for comfort. My old enemy, Hotshot, must be all fired up again. You'll be a pile of ashes when I really turn on the heat, webhead. It's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. My fire-resistant webbing can take on whatever you throw at me, Hotshot. Luckily, I'm a swinger, too. If I don't get old, Hotshot, to turn off the heat, this cookie will be... If I don't get old, Hotshot, to turn off the heat, this cookie will be burned to a crisp. But I've got a great idea. Even Hotshot can't send fireballs at me and eat Hostess Twinkies cakes at the same time. Golden sponge cake, creamed filling. That's a Hotshot combination if I ever tasted one. So again, the villain is undone by their love of Hostess cakes. If Hotshot did appear in any Spider-Man comics or any other comics, let me know. I don't think I've ever seen him otherwise, except in this ad. Here's a villain who definitely showed up in other comics. Torgo, the robot gladiator from those classic issues of Fantastic Four. Here he shows up with a thing and apparently has a taste for Hostess fruit pies. Here's Captain Marvel again facing some nameless threat. The art in this Captain Marvel ad is very interesting. This looks like... It doesn't look like any Marvel artist I've seen. It could have been just some outside talent. Another Thing ad, another Captain Marvel ad. A lot of Captain Marvel ads. I didn't realize there were this many. This one I remember just because of the weird hair and the Groucho Marx glasses and nose. That hair is out of control. The Twinkie Takers. Here, the Red Skull shows up, which I think is just such a weird inclusion for a Hostess ad. Think about it a second. a Nazi supervillain showing up in your ad for Hostess cakes. Strange choice. Here's the Fly shows up. We know that he would later appear in Spider-Man. Here's a great one, Incredible Hulk and the Green Thumb. This is one of my favorites. Really cool. I've talked about this one on the show before because I've seen it in a comic I was covering and read it, I think. I really love the art in this one. I wish I knew who did this because it's very solid. And it's great too. The plants are just totally awesome. The evil plants. Here the Hulk's kicking the crap out of them. And they're all being arrested at the end, which is totally awesome. Oh, I remember this one from seeing it as a kid too. This is totally great. These guys multiply as Cap hits them. Thank goodness he had access to these Hostess cakes. This is a cool one. So we have Madame Web, not Madame Web, who really neat character design on this strip, and it would have been cool to see her used again at some later point. We do get Madame Web, but she's the much older version of the character who Spider-Man has to save her from the Juggernaut in that classic Romita Jr. story. So this guy who is all the colors of the Vulture, but is actually called Legal Eagle. Let's see. Looks, buddy, it's Ralph G. Fake, the criminal lawyer with the power to change himself into Legal Eagle, the monster eagle at will. Oh my goodness. I guess they didn't want to use the Vulture, so they just kind of made up a very similar character to Adrian Toomes. Very strange. I marked this one just because it's just so ridiculous it had to be mentioned. Thor versus the Dingaling gang, so the Dingaling family. So Thor basically takes on a gang of space hillbillies, to lack a better descriptor, or for lack of a better descriptor. Pretty incredible. Apparently they like Hostess cakes as well. Forsooth, my lady, not so dumb. They knoweth of yon delicious snack. Now home to Odin. Be sure to save some Hostess fruit pies for that great one to enjoy too. Volstagg says at the end. Pretty awesome. That's great. This one could almost be, I'm not going to say John Buscema, but maybe Sal. It doesn't have those Sal marks, though, that we know so well. This one looks like it could be Ross Andrew here. Got a Thor. Spider-Man meets the Home Wrecker, the rather unfortunately named villain. Thor and good overcomes evil. So we're getting quite a bit of Thor here. And here comes another weird Captain Marvel story. He hurls the enemy ship into another galaxy. Here's another Hulk ad. Very nice. Iron Man, brains over brawn. Incredible Hulk and the Ultimate Weapon. This looks like Sal. There's definitely some Sal marks here. Yeah, that's Sal hair for sure. So I'm going to pretty confident in saying this one's Sal Buscema. Another Iron Man. This could be Sal as well. That looks like a Sal face. Human Torch gets some solo action against the Flamethrower. Thor versus the Ricochet Monster. Here's a cool one, Human Torch in the Ice Master. So we have another villain who never really shows up again. The aforementioned Ice Master. Mr. Fantastic. Against Gold Digger, a nefarious villain with a taste for gold and power to make himself intangible face to face with the incredible Mr. Fantastic. So he can actually make himself intangible too. Wow, that's an interesting power set he has. This looks like Sal here all the way. Doing Spider-Man. Weird Captain America one with a criminal fashion designer. Another Hulk in the park. Oh, I have this one marked because this one is very clearly Herb Trimpe. It was the only ad that I could pretty much say for certain was a Trimpe ad. Incredible Hulk versus the Green Frog. The mad magician has changed himself into a gigantic frog and is terrorizing the city. Mayor, that giant frog has cut off our Twinkie supply. Imagine this town without Twinkies. Unthinkable. Hulk, can you help? Hulk, no understand. What's to understand? That overgrown amphibian out there acts like our city is his private pond. It won't let anyone near the Twinkie supply. Hulk, think slow, move fast. Green Giant, not so happy. Splam! It was the Mad Magician. Our Hostess Twinkies are saved. Golden sponge cake and cream filling. They get my vote. Frankly, it was more fun being a frog, the magician says. One of the few times in the ads where the villain actually doesn't get the pies at the end. Good one, though. I really like Trimpe's layouts on this ad. Very cool. Well done. That's so... that action pose is signature Trimpe. Excuse me. Still getting over it. Still getting over it, folks. Another Captain Marvel. Another Incredible Hulk. Spider-Man and Break the Bank. Daredevil and Because. Excuse me. Another Cap, another Spider-Man. This one is weird. Apparently this guy's called the Chairman and he has a gun that can turn people into chairs. There it is right there. Looks like a chair leg, fittingly. Somehow it backfires, he turns himself into a chair. And I guess is subsequently arrested. Cap versus some aliens. Captain Marvel returns to Earth. Thor meets the Master. I remember this one too. Junjitsu. Pretty great. He gives her Hostess cakes to calm her down. Webs her up. Human Torch and Sparks Fly. Spider-Man in the Demolition Derby. Captain America in the Deserted City. Siding Factor. This is similar to that earlier one we saw against the multiplying aliens. This last Hulk one is curious too because it doesn't look like any of the previous ones, including the Trimpe one. So I'm not sure who did this one, but that is a unique looking Hulk there. Spider-Man versus some bikers, and then we have our index. And that's it. So that was my brief breeze through the Unofficial Marvel Comics Hostess Ads collection. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.